It was just a normal school morning. 11-year-old Emily Parker waved goodbye to her mom and walked down the street like she always did. She never made it to school. No one saw her after that. No cameras. No witnesses. Nothing. It was like she vanished into thin air. For 8 years, her parents never gave up. They kept her room exactly the same. They posted her photo online every single year. They prayed for a call. Then one morning, a team of electricians was sent to an old house to fix a broken wire. While crawling under the floorboards, one of them saw something strange sticking out of the dirt. He thought it was trash. But at WSN T. It was what everyone had feared for 8 long years. And it led to one of the darkest secrets the town had ever seen. It was April 12, 2017. A Wednesday. 11-year-old Emily Parker was getting ready for school. She lived in a small, quiet town in Ohio. Her street was safe. Everyone knew each other. Emily tied her shoes, zipped up her hoodie, and grabbed her purple backpack. Her mom, Claire, stood in the kitchen packing a lunch. Peanut butter and jelly. Like always, Claire said, sliding the sandwich into a brown bag. Emily smiled, took the bag, and gave her mom a quick hug. "You've got your homework?" Her mom asked. "Yep." Emily held it up proudly. It was just a normal school morning. Nothing strange. Nothing different. Emily stepped outside. The sky was clear. The sun had just come up. The neighborhood was peaceful, birds chirping, a few cars passing by. Claire stood at the doorway and watched her daughter walk down the sidewalk like she did every day. Emily didn't look back. She walked with her backpack bouncing behind her, a slight skip in her step. Claire waved. Emily turned the corner and disappeared from view. She was just going to school, just like every other morning. But that would be the last time anyone saw her. At 9:15 a.m., the phone rang at Claire's house. It was the school. "Hi, Mrs. Parker. We just wanted to check. Emily hasn't arrived yet." Claire's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "She left at 7:50, Claire said quickly. "She's not here. She never checked in." Claire hung up the phone and grabbed her car keys. She drove around the neighborhood, looking down every side. Street. She called Emily's best friend. No, she hadn't seen her. She called 2 more moms. Nothing. Emily wasn't at school. She wasn't at any of her friends' houses. Claire called 911. "My daughter didn't make it to school. I think something's wrong." The dispatcher asked when she was last seen. Claire answered, "Just before 8 a.m. She was walking to school." Like always, police were sent immediately. Claire stood outside, staring down the empty sidewalk. Emily had walked this route for years. Nothing bad had ever happened. Until now. Police arrived within minutes. 2 patrol cars parked in front of the Parker house. Officers spoke to Claire, then began canvassing the neighborhood. Neighbors came outside. Some joined the search. One woman said she thought she saw Emily walking that morning, but she couldn't remember the time. Another neighbor said they didn't notice anything strange. Soon, volunteers were searching every block. Backyards, parks, behind sheds, along fences. A canine unit showed up. The dog was given one of Emily's socks to sniff. The bloodhound picked up her scent right away. It followed her trail down the street, around the corner, the same route to school. Then, suddenly, the dog stopped, right at the edge of the sidewalk near a stop sign. It circled, whined, but the trail was gone. The handler said, "This is where it ends." Everyone froze. Had she gotten into a car? Was she taken? Cops knocked on every door within 5 blocks. They asked to check backyards, sheds, garages. Still, no one had seen anything. Emily was just gone, and it didn't make sense. Detectives from the county arrived to take over the case. They checked everything. Street cams, nearby gas stations, school security footage. But Emily Street didn't have any cameras. No doorbell cams either. Not in that neighborhood. No one had seen a strange car. No one heard a scream. No struggle. No running. It was like she had vanished into thin air. The last confirmed sighting was her mom, watching her walk around the corner. After that, nothing. Police brought in drones and search teams. They searched the nearby woods, school grounds, and storm drains. Still, nothing. Not a single clue. Emily's name went into the national database. Flyers were printed. Her photo, a smiling 11-year-old with bright eyes and straight brown hair, was posted across town. News outlets picked up the story. Reporters showed up, but detectives had no answers. There's no sign of foul play, one officer said to the press. But also, no sign of her. That scared everyone more. Because children don't just disappear in the daylight. Not without someone noticing. As the police continued their search outside, Claire stepped back into the house. It was quiet. Too quiet. She walked slowly into Emily's bedroom. The door was still halfway open, just like Emily had left it that morning. Her backpack was gone, but everything else untouched. Her phone was on the bed, still charging. A small stuffed bear sat at the foot of her pillow. Her favorite bracelet, the pink one she made herself, was lying on the nightstand. Claire sat on the edge of the bed and picked it up. Emily never left the house without it. Never. Her math homework was still on the desk, half finished. Her jacket still hung on the back of the chair. Claire whispered, "She didn't run away." She said it again, louder this time. She didn't run away. Because deep down, she already knew something terrible had happened. By evening, the entire street was shut down. Detectives were still interviewing neighbors. Officers marked off routes with yellow tape. Flashlights scanned alleyways. Claire sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by officers and maps. They asked the same questions over and over. Emily's father, Mark, arrived just after midnight. He lived 2 towns over. The second he walked in, Claire broke down. "She was right here," she said through tears. "Right here." Mark held her hand, but he looked hollow, like something had been ripped out of him. By morning, Emily's name was trending online. Local news stations aired her photo. People all over the state were sharing it. Volunteers gathered at the firehouse to help organize another search. Someone started a Facebook group, but with every hour, hope started to fade. There were no calls, no sightings, no messages. And by the 24-hour mark, reality started to sink in. Emily was gone. By the second day, the whole town knew Emily Parker was missing. People didn't wait to be asked. They just showed up. Strangers skipped work. Moms brought food and flashlights. Teens passed out flyers. Elderly couples joined the search, walking slowly with canes through open fields. Volunteers lined up outside the fire station, ready to help. Police handed out maps. Everyone was assigned a zone. Search teams combed through forests, cornfields, creeks, and old barns. They checked playgrounds, empty sheds, and hiking trails. They searched everywhere, but found nothing. Flyers with Emily's school photo were taped on shop windows, gas stations, and car windshields. Her face was everywhere, smiling. 11 years old. "Have you seen this girl?" was the question on everyone's lips. At night, people lit candles and held prayer circles in front of the school. Her classmates left cards and stuffed animals near the front steps. Even people who didn't know Emily felt connected to her. Because this kind of thing wasn't supposed to happen here. Not in their town. It didn't feel like a mystery. It felt like something had broken, and no one could relax until they found her. The bloodhound's trail had ended at the edge of the sidewalk, right under a stop sign near the corner of Emily Street. Detectives went back there the next morning with fresh eyes. There were no tire marks, no dropped items, no scuffed grass. It was clean dot, too clean dot. They brought the dog back again. Same result. The trail went from her house, around the corner, and stopped cold at the curb. Detectives stood silently, staring at the spot. Someone picked her up. One of them finally said, that was the only explanation. The working theory, a car. Pulled up, the driver said something, and Emily either got in or was taken. Fast. Police set up checkpoints. They asked if anyone had seen a car idling that morning, or anything unusual, but no one remembered anything strange. In broad daylight, on a normal street, a little girl had been taken, without a single witness. By day 3, the police tip line lit up. Not with sightings, but with one name. Doug Riley. He lived just 3 blocks away from Emily's house. Mid-40s, lived alone. Didn't talk much. Several callers said he always gave them a weird feeling. One woman said her kid once saw him watching children at the park. Doug had a record. Nothing violent, but he'd been arrested for trespassing years ago. He also had a history of suspicious behavior, though nothing ever stuck. He had no family, no job. His house was run down, with blankets covering the windows. The whispers started fast and grew louder. People began to wonder, could it be him? He lived close enough. He had no alibi. He wasn't part of the search. He hadn't spoken to the media. In a town this small, silence was suspicious. Neighbors told police, you should talk to Doug. So they did. 2 plainclothes detectives knocked on Doug Riley's door. He opened it slowly, looked tired, worn down, but calm. They asked if they could come in. He didn't argue. The house smelled like dust and old carpet. Piles of newspapers covered the counters. A broken TV flickered in the corner. Doug sat down and answered every question. No, he hadn't seen Emily that morning. Yes, he was home, alone. No, he didn't remember hearing anything unusual. The detectives looked around. Nothing jumped out. No signs of a struggle. No suspicious objects. No locked rooms or covered holes. Still, something about him felt wrong. Not dangerous, but off. His eyes twitched when they asked about the search. His answers were short, almost too clean, but none of that was evidence. So they left. And for now, Doug Riley stayed just what he was, a strange man in a quiet town, not a suspect. Not yet. After the detectives left Doug Riley's house, the rumors exploded. Some people were sure he did it. He keeps to himself, never smiles, always looking out his window. Others push back. That doesn't make him guilty. We don't even know if he knew Emily. He's just a loner. That's not a crime. The town started to split. There were arguments at the grocery store. Online posts turned angry. Some wanted Doug arrested. Others said the town was turning into a mob. The police, meanwhile, were stuck. They had no physical evidence, no fingerprints, no witness placing Doug near Emily. Nothing. They searched his home again, searched his car, checked his trash. Nothing. Truth was, Doug Riley might have just been strange, and nothing more, but it didn't matter. His face was now tied to the case. People crossed the street to avoid him. Kids whispered his name like a ghost story. Doug wasn't charged, but he was branded. Time moved on. But the case DIDN single quotes T. After the first month, the search slowed down. Fewer people showed up to help. Tips stopped coming in. The flyers with Emily's face began to peel off poles and fences. Sunlight bleached the ink. Rain washed away the tape. Her smile, once so sharp and hopeful, faded into a ghost of itself. Candlelight vigils were held every Saturday. Fewer. Candles showed up each week. Emily's parents still went to everyone, but they stopped speaking to the press. They'd said everything they could say. Every interview started to sound the same. We just want her home. Please don't forget her. Someone knows something. But nothing came. Claire began keeping the curtains closed. Mark returned to work, but barely spoke. Their home became quiet, heavy, still. Detectives followed every lead they got. Every dead end, every false alarm. They'd call with updates. We're still working on it. But even their voices sounded tired. The silence grew louder than the search. And eventually, Emily Parker became something else. Not forgotten, but paused. A question without an answer. A chapter that didn't close. Until years later, when the past finally surfaced from under the floor. It's 22:05. Megan and Tyler are in their late 20s. They've been saving for years and finally find a house they can afford. A rundown 2-story place. Just outside of town. It's old, cheap, a little spooky, but they're excited. It's their first home. The house is only 2 miles from where Emily Parker disappeared, but Megan and Tyler don't know that yet. The yard is overgrown. The shutters hang crooked. The paint is chipped. Locals in the area call it the sad house. Some say it's cursed. Others say it's just bad luck. But Megan and Tyler don't believe in that stuff. It just needs some work, Tyler says, smiling. They move in right away. They start cleaning, painting, and fixing things. They even plan to flip it in a few years. But on the day they move in, the old woman next door walks over. She doesn't smile. She just stares at the house. People don't stay long, she says. Then she walks away. That night, Megan stands in the hallway. She looks around and shivers. She can't explain why. The house feels wrong, but she doesn't say anything. Not yet. Over the next few days, Megan notices strange things. Floorboards creak, but not when someone is walking. They creak at night randomly like footsteps. The kitchen light flickers. Even after Tyler replaces the bulb, there's a draft in the hallway. Megan closes all the windows, but the cold still comes. Then one night, while brushing her teeth, Megan hears something. A low sound, like a whisper, coming from under the floor. She freezes. Listens again. Nothing. She tells Tyler. He laughs. Old house sounds. You're just not used to it yet. But Megan keeps hearing things. Mostly at night. Clicking. Light tapping. She even hears what sounds like a small thump beneath their bedroom. She walks slowly across the floor. Listening. It always stops the second she tries to get close. Tyler still doesn't believe her. It's pipes, Meg, or rats. But Megan knows what she heard. Something under the floor is moving. One evening, right after dinner, the lights go out. Every room. Pitch black. Megan checks her phone. Fully charged. Not a neighborhood outage. Just their house. Tyler grabs a flashlight and heads to the basement. He opens the fuse box. All the switches are fine. Nothing looks burned or broken. They call an electrician. The next day, 2 guys show up in a white van. They check the outlets, the panels, the wires. It's probably just old wiring, one says. Nothing dangerous. But to be safe, they check the entire system, including under the house. We'll need to access the crawl space. One of them says. It's a tight space, barely 2 feet high. You have to crawl on your belly. Tyler shows them the small hatch behind the kitchen wall. One of the electricians, a young guy named Jake, grabs his flashlight and drops down into the crawl space. He disappears into the dark. Watch your head, his partner calls out. Jake doesn't answer right away. He's crawling slowly through the dust and spiderwebs. Then he stops. Hey, he calls up. There's something weird down here. Jake lies flat on his stomach in the crawl space. It's tight, musty, and full of cobwebs. His flashlight flickers slightly, but he keeps moving forward, dragging himself through the dirt. He looks around. Pipes, wooden beams. A few dead bugs. Nothing unusual. Then something catches his eye. In the far corner, almost pressed against the foundation wall, there's something sticking out of the dirt. Just a corner. It looks like fabric. Maybe a cloth. Could be trash. He crawls closer. Shines. His light on it. Is not trash. It's cloth, but thicker. Like canvas, and it's buried under a thin layer of dirt, like someone tried to hide it. He brushes the dirt away slowly. More fabric appears. It's stained, darkened with age. Jake reaches out and pulls at the edge. Something shifts. It's not just fabric. There's weight to it. He pulls again, uncovering what looks like the corner of an old, moldy backpack. It's half buried, falling apart, but still recognizable. Jake freezes. He calls out, "Tyler, you need to come see this." Above him, Megan and Tyler look at each other. They hear Jake's voice, and something in his tone makes the air feel cold. Really cold. Jake steadies his breath and reaches out. The object poking from the dirt isn't metal, not plastic either. It feels soft, damp, worn. He clears more soil with his gloved hand, brushing it gently. Slowly, a shape begins to form. It's a bag. A backpack. Rotting fabric. One strap is almost completely gone. The other is ripped halfway through. Mold covers most of the surface. He carefully lifts it up. It's heavier than expected, maybe waterlogged. The base sags like something is still inside. He calls out again, louder this time. "Hey, I just found a backpack under here." No response. His heart starts to race. This doesn't feel like trash. He wipes a bit of the grime off the zipper and slowly pulls it open. The zipper still works, somehow. It opens all the way. He shines the flashlight inside. There's something in there, and it's not tools, not wires, not anything that should have been under this house. Inside the backpack, old candy wrappers, a pencil case covered in stickers, a broken mechanical pencil, faded erasers, and at the bottom, a soggy, torn notebook. Jake gently picks it up, even though it's barely holding together. The cover is peeling off. Pages are curled and stained. He opens it slowly. On the first page, written in blue ink, Emily Parker, 5th grade. He stares at the name for a full 5 seconds, frozen in place. His breath catches. The air under the house feels tighter now, heavier. He feels like he shouldn't be down here anymore. He calls up through the floorboards, voice shaking, "Tyler, Megan, you need to call the police. Right now." Above him, Tyler leans over the hatch. "Why? What is it?" Jake looks down at the notebook again. He knows that name. Everybody in this town knows that name. He doesn't answer. He just holds up the notebook toward the light. The crawl space is no longer part of a renovation project. It's now a crime scene, and the mystery of Emily Parker just came crashing back to life. Within the hour, the house is surrounded by police tape. Neighbors gather across the street. Some whisper. Others cry. News vans arrive. Reporters try to peek past the officers. The crawl space is now sealed off. It's no longer just old dirt. It's evidence. A forensics team shows up in full hazmat suits. They carry cases of tools, gloves, and small lights. The team crawls underneath the house carefully. One of them sets up a camera. Another begins sifting through the soil with a small brush. It's slow, quiet, careful. Every handful of dirt is collected. Every object is bagged. And then, about an hour and one of them freezes. They find something. A small bone. Then another. And another. They clear more soil. The bones are human. Small. Fragile. Clearly a child's. One forensic tech whispers, "Oh, no. The remains are delicate. Ribs, fingers, and part of a skull." The team goes still. No one says anything, but everyone knows what this means. The girl who vanished 8 years ago. She never left. The digging continues. More bones are found, along with scraps of cloth and plastic. Then something else appears. A small shoe, dirt-packed and cracked with age. A few feet away, buried under more soil, a broken pink hair clip is uncovered. And then a necklace. It's tiny, heart-shaped, covered in dirt, but still hanging from a thin metal chain. A detective leans in. His eyes widen. He recognizes it. 8 years ago, Claire Parker had shown that exact necklace to the press. It was the one Emily wore every day. Her dad had given it to her on her 10th birthday. Now, it's here, in the dirt, right beside the remains. No more guessing. No more theories. Everyone above ground is told. The sheriff takes off his hat and lowers his head. Megan, the woman who now owns the house, bursts into tears. Police now treat every inch of the crawl space like sacred ground. This isn't just a body. It's Emily. The bones, the necklace, the backpack. It's almost certain. But they still need proof. Samples are rushed to the state crime lab. It takes 3 days. 3 days of waiting. 3 days of reporters parked outside the Parker family home. 3 days of no sleep. Then the call comes. The lab confirms. The remains belong to Emily Parker. The DNA is a perfect match. Detectives drive straight to Emily's parents. Claire answers the door. She already knows by the look in their eyes. She doesn't speak. She collapses right there, sobbing into her hands. Her ex-husband Mark steps outside. He leans on the railing, then lets out a long, raw scream. He can barely stand. For 8 years, they held on to hope. Hoped she was out there, alive, safe. But now, they finally have an answer. Emily is gone. And the truth hurts more than the unknown ever did. Investigators piece together what they can. It looks like the killer used a tarp or heavy blanket to wrap Emily's body, then dragged her into the crawlspace, likely late at night when no one would see. She was buried just a few feet under the dirt. No concrete, no deep pit, just a shallow grave. Whoever did this didn't plan to hide her well. They just wanted her gone and forgotten. The big question: why this house? Why hide her here? The current owners, Megan and Tyler, had only moved in recently, but records show 5 families had lived there since 2017. None of them knew. None ever checked under the house. Police look through the property's past. Something has to connect this place to the person who took Emily. Theories start to spread. Maybe the killer lived here once. Maybe they had access. Maybe they knew no one would check. But the one thing everyone now agrees on: Emily never left town. She had been here the whole time, buried in silence, and no one had seen it coming. As soon as the forensics team confirms the body is Emily's, detectives shift focus. Someone had to put her under that house. The question is, who had access back then? They pull property records and ownership logs. The house had changed hands several times over the last 8 years. Megan and Tyler were the 5th owners since 2017. One by one, police check out each former owner. Nothing stands out until they hit the name: Tom Garland. In 2017, the year Emily vanished, the house belonged to him. He bought it in 2014, sold it in late 2018. Records show he lived there full-time. Detectives pull his file. Tom Garland, divorced, mid-60s, retired, no criminal history. No police reports, no complaints, no known connections to Emily Parker. But here's what makes it strange. His name never came up in the original investigation. Not once. They double-check. Cross-reference files, interview logs, background checks. Nothing. Somehow, during the biggest case the town had ever seen, Tom Garland wasn't even spoken to. No one knocked on his door. No one asked where he was that morning. Now, Detectives are asking themselves, how did they miss him? Digging deeper, detectives make a connection that chills them. Tom Garland wasn't just a retired man with an old house. He used to work at Emily's school. He was a janitor for nearly 11 years. His employment record shows he worked there until May 2017, just 1 month after Emily vanished. Suddenly, things begin to click. Tom lived only 2 blocks from the Parker home, and his house sat directly along the path. Emily took to school every day. She would have passed him, hundreds of times. Detectives look at satellite maps from 2017. The shortest route to school went right past his mailbox. It's possible she knew him. Maybe just by face, maybe more. Maybe he said hello once. Maybe he offered her candy. Or a shortcut. No one had ever looked at him. He didn't seem dangerous. He kept to himself. He was older, quiet, friendly enough. Back in 2017, they were focused on sex offenders, drifters, strangers. Tom Garland didn't fit that profile. He had a clean record, a steady job, no red flags. But now they're seeing it differently. He had opportunity. He had access. And worst of all, he had a connection, because Emily didn't just pass his house. She passed his door. Every single day. Detectives begin digging into Tom Garland's past. What they find surprises them. He had worked at Emily's school for 12 years as a janitor. Everyone remembered him. Sort of. He was the kind of person who was always there, but never noticed. He cleaned the hallways, changed light bulbs, took out the trash. Quiet. Alone. No one ever complained about him. No one ever praised him either. He just existed. He didn't have any social media, didn't coach sports, didn't eat lunch with the staff. He clocked in, did his job, and left. Detectives interview teachers who worked with him. Some shrug. I barely talked to him. Others say he kept to himself. One teacher says he was just a janitor. We never thought much about him. But now, that quiet behavior feels different. Now, it feels like hiding in plain sight. Tom quit his job 1 month after Emily disappeared. He said he was ready to retire. No one questioned it. He moved out of town a few months later. On paper, it looked normal. But detectives know better now. Sometimes, the most dangerous person in the room is the one no one looks at twice. Detectives request the school's full personnel file on Tom Garland. It's old, full of printed papers and handwritten notes. Most of it is boring. Time cards, shift schedules, signed policy forms. But deep in the back, behind a stack of routine memos, they find it. A report dated October 2016, just 6 months before Emily vanished. A 5th-grade teacher wrote that Tom had made uncomfortable comments to a female student. He'd complimented her appearance in a way that felt off. The girl had told her teacher. The teacher had filled out the form. It was handed to the school office, but there was no follow-up form, no interview record, no investigation, no warning letter, nothing. It was never sent to police. The student's name wasn't Emily, but she was the same age, same grade, same hallway. Detectives look at each other. They realize this could have been a warning sign, a giant red flag that no one took seriously. And because of that silence, something much worse may have happened just months later. Police bring Tom Garland in for questioning. He walks in slow, wearing a wrinkled shirt and holding a baseball cap in both hands. He's quiet, calm. They sit him down and offer water. Tom accepts. His hands shake as he takes a sip. The lead detective starts simple. You lived on Pine Street, right? Tom nods. Sold that place in 2018. You worked at the elementary school? Until I retired, yes. Then they ask, did you know Emily Parker? Tom shakes his head quickly. No, never met her. but he doesn't look up when he says it. Detectives keep pressing. You sure? She walked right past your house every day. Tom shrugs. Lots of kids did. His voice is flat, steady, but his hands keep twitching. He keeps sipping water, avoiding eye contact. The detectives know this behavior. He's not yelling. He's not denying aggressively. He's scared, because deep down, Tom Garland knows they're getting close. And there's only so much longer he can pretend. 3 days after the interview, a woman walks into the police station. She's in her 70s. Says she used to live 2 doors down from Tom Garland. She has something to tell them. She remembers seeing Emily just a few days before the girl disappeared, walking up to Tom's front door. Emily had a stack of papers in her hand. It looked like one of those school fundraisers. The woman says Emily knocked, waited, then spoke to Tom at the door. It couldn't have been more than 2 minutes, she says. But I remember thinking, I didn't know he liked visitors. No one else was around. No one ever asked her about it. So she never mentioned it. Until now, detectives pull school records. Emily was part of a fundraiser that month, selling candy and wrapping paper. They find her list. Tom Garland's address is on it. It was a tiny detail. Just one visit. A knock on the wrong door. But now, it might be the key. Emily had been to that house. Not once. Not by mistake. She walked up. She said, hello. And after that, she was never seen again. With the neighbor's tip and Emily's fundraiser list as evidence, detectives move quickly. They request a warrant to search Tom Garland's rented storage unit, a small, dust-covered space on the edge of town, registered under his name since 2016. He had stopped making regular visits years ago. The manager says no one's touched it in over 4 years. The warrant is signed. Officers meet at the facility the next morning. They roll up the rusted metal door. The light hits boxes, crates, old lawn tools, folding chairs. It looks like any other retired man's storage. Quiet, forgotten, harmless. But as they move deeper, they find a large, clear plastic bin sealed with duct tape. No labels, no markings. They cut it open. Inside are random objects. Loose, disorganized. Children's hair ties. Colorful buttons. A single shoelace, frayed at the end. A pencil with cartoon characters on it. A cracked plastic charm shaped like a star. The detectives exchange looks. They dig deeper. Near the bottom, half buried beneath some old wrapping paper, is something different. It's pink, woven, faded, a bracelet. They hold it up slowly, and one of the officers says quietly, "We need to call her mother." Claire Parker arrives at the station an hour later. She doesn't know what they've found yet. She's escorted to a private room. 2 detectives are there. One sits across from her. The other opens a small evidence bag and places it on the table. Inside is the bracelet. Claire stares at it. She doesn't speak at first. She just reaches out with a trembling hand, fingers hovering just above the plastic. She whispers, "Where did you find this?" The detective answers softly, "Tom Garland's storage unit." Claire nods. Her voice breaks. "She made that in 3rd grade," she says, her voice cracking, "with a little loom kit. I helped her tie it off when she finished. She wore it every single day." She swallows hard. She never took it off. Not once. That bracelet was missing when Emily disappeared. It was never found at the scene. Not at home. Not in the backpack. Not during any search. Until now. The detectives bag it officially. Tag it as evidence. It changes everything. Before, they had no physical link between Tom Garland and Emily Parker. No object that proved he touched her, knew her, had been close. But now they do. This wasn't something he could explain away. It had been hidden, taped inside a bin, buried beneath junk, and it belonged to a missing girl who hadn't been seen in 8 years. A girl who never took off that bracelet until she did. And somehow, it ended up with Tom Garland. It's early morning. When police surround a small yellow house on the edge of town, neighbors peek through their blinds. No one knows what's happening until they see the flashing lights and the lead. Detectives step up to the front door. Tom Garland answers in sweatpants and a t-shirt. He looks surprised. Confused. Or maybe he's just acting. Tom Garland. The detective says, "You're under arrest for the murder of Emily Parker." Tom doesn't argue. Doesn't ask why. He just lowers his head slightly. As the detective reads his rights. Tom stays calm. Too calm. Officers cuff him. Gently but firmly. He doesn't resist. Across the street, a woman drops her coffee cup. A man pulls out his phone to record. This is a man they'd seen at church, at the post office, buying groceries, for 8 years. No one suspected a thing. Now, he's being led away in handcuffs. Tom walks past a group of officers without saying a word. He gets into the back of the police car and stares straight ahead. No tears. No questions. Just silence. And for the first time, the town sees the man they thought they knew, and they don't recognize him at all. By noon, everyone knows. Tom Garland. The quiet old janitor is the man accused of killing Emily Parker. People are shocked, angry. Some cry. Others shake their heads in disbelief. At the diner, someone says, "I always thought he was odd." Another replies, "I talked to him last week. He seemed normal." On Facebook, posts flood in. Monster. Sick old man. Rot in prison. But not everyone agrees. A few people say, "No way. Not Tom. He fixed my porch light. Once, he's being framed." Old photos of Tom with neighbors and kids start to circulate. People try to find clues they missed. The truth is hard to swallow, because if Tom really did this, if he hid this for 8 years, then everyone else missed it. And that's what scares the town most. Not just that Emily was gone, but that her killer might have been waving at them from across the street. At trial, prosecutors speak with quiet, clear confidence. They tell the jury a story. Tom Garland knew Emily. She walked past his house almost every morning. She probably waved. Maybe even talked to him. He worked at her school, cleaned her hallways, took out the trash in her classroom. He wasn't a stranger. They explain how on April 12, 2017, Emily was out selling fundraiser items for school. She walked up to Tom's door, just like she did a few days earlier. He answered. He said something. Maybe asked her for help. Maybe offered candy. Maybe something small, but something went wrong. Maybe she wanted to leave, and he didn't want her to. Maybe he tried to stop her. Maybe he panicked. Either way, she never left that house alive. They explained the crawl space, the hidden backpack, the bracelet she never took off. Her bones buried under the house Tom owned at the time. They show maps, timelines, records. Tom moved out a year later. Quit his job. Started fresh. But the evidence stayed behind. And now, 8 years later, it's all out in the open. Everything points to him. Tom's defense attorney doesn't deny that Emily's remains were found under his old house. But he reminds the jury, there's no DN. No fingerprints, no camera footage, no confession. Anyone could have put that backpack there, he says. There's no proof Tom Garland killed Emily Parker. The lawyer argues that the town needed someone to blame, that old memories and fear created a villain, even if the evidence didn't fully prove it. But the prosecutor pushes back hard. The bracelet. The fundraiser list with Tom's address. The crawl space. The storage bin with Emily's personal items. How did those things end up in his possession? The prosecutor asks the jury, coincidence or guilt? The courtroom stays silent. The jury is told the truth. This case is circumstantial. But sometimes, when every piece of the puzzle fits, even without one clear photo or fingerprint, The picture is still complete. After closing arguments, the courtroom is cleared for jury deliberation. Tom Garland is taken back to a holding cell. He walks slowly, expressionless, like every moment is underwater. The jury is given all the evidence: the backpack, the bracelet, the fundraiser sheet, the witness statements, the storage unit photos. Then the doors close behind them. Everyone waits. 1 hour passes, then 2. Then 3. By the 4th hour, phones buzz. The jury has reached a decision. The courtroom fills again. Reporters pack the back row. Emily's parents sit in the front, side by side. No one speaks. The door opens. The jury files in, single file, all of them looking straight ahead. The judge asks the question: has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stands. Yes, Your Honor. The air tightens. On the charge of murder in the first degree, how do you find the defendant? The foreman answers with one word: guilty. Tom doesn't flinch. He doesn't turn. He just lowers his head slightly, blinking twice. The judge announces the sentence: life in prison. No possibility of parole. Tom is led out of the courtroom in silence. After 8 years of mystery, the case is over. Claire Parker sobs as the verdict is read. Her face is in her hands. Her body shakes. Beside her, Mark grips the wooden bench so tightly his knuckles turn white. He stares forward, jaw clenched, eyes red. They have the answer. They have the man responsible. But it doesn't bring the feeling they expected. It's not relief. It's not peace. It's grief. Deep, final, and sharp. After 8 years of waking up, not knowing. Now they know. Emily had been buried under a house just miles away. She'd been gone the whole time. Justice, it turns out, is heavy. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm them. Cameras flash. Microphones are pushed forward. One reporter asks, "Do you forgive him?" Claire doesn't blink. She answers quietly, almost too soft to hear. No, not yet. They don't celebrate. They don't smile. They just walk to their car and drive away into a future that still has a hole in it. Justice was served, but justice can't give them back what mattered most. All it can do is make sure no other child ends up in a crawlspace like Emily, and that the man who put her there never walks free again. After the trial ends and Tom Garland is locked away, people start asking one big question: how did no one look at him sooner? Journalists go back through old reports from 2017. They dig up interviews, tips, and officer notes from the early search. They realize something strange. Tom's house was right along Emily's walking path. He worked at her school. He quit just weeks after she vanished, but somehow his name was never on the suspect list. Not even once. News reporters sit down with retired officers. One detective says, "If you had told me back then he worked at her school, I'd say no way. That name never came up." People in town feel stunned, angry, confused. One neighbor says, "He was right there the whole time. That's the part I can't stop thinking about. He was right there." Even Emily's mom speaks up. In an interview, she says, "I passed that house during search walks. I never imagined she could be under it." Everyone wants to know how this man stayed invisible for so long. Now, the answer starts to come out, and it's worse than anyone expected, because Tom Garland wasn't totally unknown. He was listed once, but the system failed. 8 years earlier, during the very first week of Emily's disappearance, volunteers had handed a list to the police. It included names of neighbors, school staff, and anyone living near Emily's walking route. Tom Garland's name was on that list, right there. Third from the top. But here's what happened. The officer handling the report had too many files to log. That one list, with about 30 names, was sent to a different department by mistake. Not missing persons, not homicide. It went to parking. Enforcement. No one saw it again. The list was filed under non-emergency. It sat in a drawer for years. The officer who misfiled it later retired. Nobody knew about the mistake until now. Detectives reviewing the cold case in 2025 finally found it. It was folded inside a manila folder, completely untouched. One line on a paper. A single clerical error. That's all it took. Emily Parker's name stayed in the news for years. Tom Garland's name disappeared in a drawer. And in the space between those two facts, a monster was left alone. When the full story comes out, the police department holds a press conference, but Chief steps up to the microphone. He looks tired, embarrassed, angry at himself. He says the truth out loud. The system failed Emily Parker. There were warning signs. Not just one, several. Tom Garland's name was handed in. That should have triggered an interview. There were past reports at the school. Small, quiet complaints that never went anywhere. He lived along her school route. He worked at her school. And he suddenly quit. After her disappearance, each thing, by itself, didn't scream guilt. But no one connected the dots. The chief doesn't try to hide it. We missed it, he says, and I wish we could go back. But we can't, so we'll make sure it never happens. Again. That same week, the school district releases a statement. They admit Garland's complaint file was incomplete. The tip about his strange behavior toward students had not been fully investigated. Parents are furious. Teachers feel guilty. Some staff quit. People ask the same question over and over. If someone had followed up on just one of those things, would Emily still be here? No one can answer it. Emily's story spreads far beyond her small Ohio town. Within months of the trial, the state governor meets with her parents. They sit together for 2 hours. At the end of the meeting, the governor makes a promise. We're going to make sure this never happens again. And then, things start to change. A new law is passed. It's called Emily's Code. It forces schools to track every complaint, even if it seems small. Every tip must be reviewed by at least 2 staff members. Every report must be logged and followed up. No more paperwork disappearing. The law also creates a new system where school staff can report red flags anonymously. If someone sees something strange, they don't have to fear backlash. And it doesn't stop there. Background check laws are updated. Schools must now review all non-teaching staff records every year, not just once at hiring. Tom Garland had no criminal record, but red flags were there. Emily's Code forces people to connect those dots early. Posters go up in schools. Brochures are mailed home. Emily's name is printed at the top of every one, because her story didn't just end in a courtroom. It started a movement. After the trial, after the laws, after the cameras leave, Emily's parents do something else. They start a foundation. It's called the Emily Parker Foundation. Its mission is simple. Never let another child disappear without a trace. Never again. Claire and Mark begin small. A website, a phone line, a few volunteers. But word spreads quickly. Soon, the foundation is helping other parents. They offer toolkits on what to do in the first 24 hours. They host training sessions for schools teaching staff how to spot signs of grooming, danger, or neglect. They hold talks with law enforcement, sharing the painful lessons they learned, the missed paperwork, the ignored warnings, the critical hours lost. One of the first things they push for, connection. The foundation creates a system that links schools with local police departments directly. Any red flag, no matter how small, now gets logged, tracked, and escalated. Faster. They print small cards for kids, teaching them how to ask for help. They give out bracelets with emergency numbers. Emily's face isn't the logo. Her parents didn't want that. Instead, they use the image of a lit candle, always glowing, always burning. A promise that no child will ever go unnoticed again. Even now, years later, Claire still lights the candle every night. It sits in Emily's bedroom window. The same window Emily looked out of every morning before school. The room has never changed. The bed is still made. Her backpack is still on the chair. The posters on the wall, favorite bands, favorite quotes, still hang in the same place. Claire dusts the desk once a week, folds the blanket, polishes the framed photo on the dresser, not because she expects Emily to walk through the door, but because that space is sacred. It's the last place she saw her daughter before everything changed. The candle glows softly every night. Some nights, Claire sits in the doorway and watches the flame. No music, no phone, just silence and memory. She doesn't call it hope. She calls it remembrance. She says it helps her sleep. Neighbors see it when they drive by. Some slow down, some honk gently. Others just look and nod. The candle has become more than a tribute. It's a signal, a silent reminder that Emily Parker existed, that her story changed lives. And that even though her voice was taken, her light wasn't. Because love like that doesn't disappear. It just keeps burning.